Welcome, everyone. Today is Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Welcome, Crucible Man. You are number one. So let's get started. Today, we are going to talk about the afterlife. Do you believe in the afterlife? Do you believe in heaven and hell? Do you think you will meet your loved ones after death? Is there a such thing as reincarnation? So, first of all, you know, people want to know, exactly, what is the afterlife, and some people think that is something where it's a life where people believe that life begins when you die, a life in heaven, or as you come back as another person or an animal. And I know that in some cultures, that is what they think. They think that people come back as another person or another animal. And some people even now who are walking around actually believe that they were someone or something else. Welcome, Frankie. So what is the afterlife? Is it purgatory? Where that's supposed to be where you're stuck between heaven and hell. And when people talk of purgatory, I never understood. What do you do to continue that journey to either heaven or to continue the journey to hell? So, and do you believe there is a heaven? Do you believe there is a hell? If you believe in the Bible, and I'm not saying if you're a Christian, but I'm saying if you believe in the Bible, then there is a heaven and a hell. And what is heaven? When people say that, you die and you sit on the right hand of God, exactly what does that mean? Is the right hand of God better than the left hand? As long as you're in heaven? Um, when you die, is there going to be someone there, angels and with harps and trumpets, meeting you at the pearly gates? And these gates are going to open wide for you, and someone is going to be there saying welcome. And then on the other hand, if there's a hell, is there going to be someone there, you know Lucifer, the devil, whatever you want to call him, with his minions? Are they going to be there welcome you, to the gates of hell? Is hell supposed to be hot? Is it this fiery furnace? Is this where, it's so hot that, you just, burn, burn, burn. And, you know, um, everyone's wearing black, whereas heaven is portrayed to be where, everyone's wearing white. What's up, dude? Glad you were able to, to make it. So what is the afterlife? Will you meet your loved ones after death? People say, I'll see you again. One day I'll see you again. And due to saying that, I'm assuming you're saying that hell is fire. Um, but I mean, you know, when you see that person again, how are you going to see them? Are you going to see them in their spiritual self, or are you going to see them in their um, earthly form? So when you see that person, how are we going to see that person? I mean, when I die, am I going to, see my grandmother as she was? Or, is it a spirit? Do you believe that when people die and they say, well, your mom, your dad, they're watching over you, your sister, your brother, they're watching over you. What does that mean? You know, when I used to hear that term watching over you when I was little, I literally thought that a dead person, like if you went to sleep, was literally like sitting at the bottom of your bed or whatever, and you had this ghost that you couldn't see that was watching over you. So is that what it is? So exactly what is the afterlife, and is there such thing as reincarnation? So I have given my spiel, and I am going to open it up. If you guys want to join in, you're more than welcome. And let's see, Crucible Man, you are on.
This is a very interesting subject. I'm going to try to be brief because I could talk a long time on this. I was raised a Catholic, and in the Catholic Church as an altar boy, and all of the rituals and all of the conventional beliefs that come with that. And one of them was there is a heaven and a hell. It is in the Bible. And I think what we do here on earth, and this is what I've learned in my Catholic school upbringing, and again, I don't know if it's true, but this is what I've learned all my life. We as human beings, as earthlings, we tend to use as reference points earthly human things like fire, like angels. In terms of the afterlife, we tend to think that we're going to see our loved ones in their human form, which I've been told by theologists, not me personally, but I've read and I've been talked to by priests, that's a poor expectation. We will not manifest back as in human form, whether there'll be our souls and our spirits. That's a different story. But I don't think we will ever see our loved ones again in human form. And I think the reason people choose to believe in the afterlife, and I'm getting older these days, and my view of the afterlife has changed a little bit as I've gotten older, maybe understandably. As you get closer to the end, maybe it's more important to you to dig deeper and find ways to corroborate your belief in the afterlife, because I think part of why we believe in the afterlife is the alternative is just too depressing. It's just too bleak. It's cold nothingness for eternity. And we as humans can't wrap our heads around that. So we've got to use reference points that we understand as human beings. But I think the alternative is really what drives a lot of people to the afterlife, because it's fantastical in its concept that we would go be with our loved ones for eternity and everything would be happy and everyone would be in love again. And we as humans can't relate to that. We're not supposed to relate to that. That's what our deity and our God is capable of understanding. So people believe in the afterlife for different reasons. But if you're asking me the direct question, I've come a long way on the journey. But yes, I believe in the afterlife, both heaven and hell.
Okay, but the way you described it, and okay, you said that you were raised Catholic, but there are people who, I mean, there are so many different religions out there. There are so many, different, beliefs out there. So who's to say that when you die, that and you see your loved ones again, how do you know you're not seeing them in their human form? How do you know? And I guess that's what it all comes down to, is unless you've died and you've seen everything and you can come back and say, I did this, this, and this. You have the people who they go through this, where they died and they've been dead for a couple of minutes and they come back and, they say, I saw this light, so, but how do you know if you've never died? How do you know what's on the other side? Is there even another side? How do you know this? I mean, why should I trust a priest or a reverend or a pastor or a monk or whomever if they're just another human? How do you know?
You don't. That's just it. We don't know at all because nobody's ever come back to tell us. I agree with your stories about people seeing the light and everything, and I have every reason to believe that they're not making it up. Now, could it be some form of unconsciousness and returning from unconsciousness and believing you've seen a light or something? Who knows? But you ask a good question. We don't know. We choose to attach ourselves to beliefs and a faith because we don't know. And I think for me, for the longest time, I believed in the afterlife because I was afraid of the alternative. Now, as I've studied about it a little bit more and I've read about it, and yes, it's because I'm getting older. That's certainly a practical reason. I've tried to be a little more diligent about my belief and trying to quantify it, but I'm getting to the point where I'm going to give up on the quantifying part. There's no way to quantify it. Nobody on this earth can say with certainty what happens when we die. So is that where our faith system comes in, our belief in God comes in? Because God asks us to believe in things that we as earthlings have no reasonable right to believe in. And I think the afterlife is one of them.
What about reincarnation?
I'm not a believer in reincarnation, and
I can't hear you, Crucible
I
Man.
had a phone call there. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm not as familiar with reincarnation in other cultures. I'm familiar with the concept. I know what you're saying. People come back as a goat or a bird or as a flower. I'm not saying it's not possible. I haven't studied up on it enough. I think you get those kinds of beliefs in maybe other cultures. I don't know if the Indian culture believes it or not, but I'm not fluent enough in that. But if I had to give an answer, I would say probably not.
okay. Well, the definition of reincarnation is a person or animal in whom a particular soul is believed to have been reborn, or a new version of something from the past. And you do have, and I do know that in, I'm not sure about the Indian culture, but I do know in some Asian cultures, they believe in reincarnation. They tend to say, you know, um, you know, I hope to see you again, in our next life, and I hope I'm this, I hope I'm that, you know. There are people who feel that, you know, they were around in 1512, that they were around, and they were reborn, whatever. So death, like Frankie said, death is a mystery. It is, because we don't know what's going on. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what happens, and I think that's one reason why death scares people so much. But it's also fascinating. I mean, we there's one thing that is definite in this life: when you're born, you're gonna die. I mean, no one lives forever. They say, but Methuselah lived until 900. Is that true? It's possible. I mean, I wasn't around when when he was alive, but did he live to be 900? It's possible. So one thing again that we are guaranteed is that one day, and whether you believe in God or whomever you believe in, that person, that entity knows how long you have on this earth. So, uh, do you believe in heaven and hell, Crucible Man?
I do believe in heaven and hell. I'm not sure it quite lines up with what we think about fire and angels. I think that's just reference points that make us help us orient to the concept of afterlife. But one thing I've always been curious about is I thought the Bible said, and I might be wrong, I'm not a Bible scholar, but if God forgives you, if you repent, I should say, if you repent, no matter what you've done, even if you killed people, if you repent on your deathbed or you pray to God for forgiveness, that He will forgive you. Now, that would seem to undercut. Now, obviously, there are going to be cases where people are not we're not more remorseful and they're not asking for forgiveness. And so those people, I would guess, would go to hell. But since most people, I shouldn't say most people, since a lot of people would be on their deathbed and wanting to make it right with God, wouldn't that stand to reason that almost everybody would wind up in heaven? And the whole concept of purgatory, we've been made to believe it's kind of a waiting room for one or the other, mostly heaven, because if you were going to hell, you just go there. You wouldn't stop first. So that's a curious kind of
Well, okay. Well, hold on. Why would you go if purgatory is supposed to be the in between of heaven and hell? Why would you go directly to hell? I mean, in that case, why go to purgatory at all? Why not just go directly to heaven? Why not? Why have that? waiting room. So why would you say that people would go directly to hell? And why would you say that if like you just said, people would go directly to heaven if God is a forgiving God? So why go directly to hell but not go directly to heaven?
I don't have the answer to that, but I'm thinking that maybe you have, in God's view, haven't repented sufficiently. Maybe you are worthy of heaven, but you need to do some penance first. I think the hell thing might just be a little more clear cut if you don't repent or if you've done some really heinous things to other people. I don't know, but I've always been led to believe in my religious upbringing that purgatory is more of a waiting room for heaven as opposed to hell. But the answer is I have no idea. But I'm curious, Solid Blue. I saw a chat comment in the chat box, and I don't want to veer too far off course here, but it might be appropriate. I see that GP Man says that he's an atheist, and I'm just curious. I understand there's lots of atheists in the world, and I would never challenge their beliefs. It's not fair. You believe what you believe, and I respect that. But in times of adversity and in times of difficulty and trouble, we tend to turn to God as our resource when nothing else is working. What do atheists turn to? Who do atheists turn to, or do they just turn their back on that particular faith system and find other things to cling to? Because we all need comfort. We all need relief. It has to come from somewhere at some point. If it doesn't come from God, where does it come from?
That is something you would have to ask GP Man, because I am not an atheist. I do believe in God. I do believe in, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. So GP Man, I know you're at work. Can you answer that question? Can you put it in the chat? And welcome, Shannon Lynn. Welcome. I'm going to send you an invite. Because I would think that,
Hi,
if
sweetie.
you are, if you are an atheist, that like you said, Crucible Man, that you would have to turn to someone. So let's see. Did he answer? I don't see an answer here. He's probably still typing. Okay. Shannon Lynn, do you want to jump in and answer any of these questions? We're talking about heaven and hell. Do you believe you'll meet your loved ones after death? Reincarnation, purgatory. Do you want to jump in and add anything?
Well, I was baptized Catholic, went to Catholic school, catechism, all the whole work. Then I became more of an agnostic, kind of more in scientific data proof. I went through that stage, but then the more I I was educated, the more science and religion kind of came together. I do believe in energy, and it is a proven fact that when you die, your body at the exact moment weighs just a little bit less. And they say that that's the soul energy leaving your body. And it's a proven fact you cannot destroy energy. So it just goes and transforms into something else. So the more I studied that, the more I started believing, well, yes, I mean, we had to have something that created us. It's the old chicken and egg theory, it's I do not believe that we evolved from amoeba. The missing link proves that. So I do believe in a creator. Absolutely. I don't necessarily package it and believe in organized religion. I don't believe you have to go to church to be a good person. But I definitely believe there is something much more spiritual, much more intelligent who created us for sure.
Okay. Well, GP Man says war and seeing heavy death made me lose faith. Okay, but I think Crucible Man's question is not being addressed. So, Crucible Man, I'll respond to Shannon Lynn after you respond. You want to respond to what she said, because she she said some pretty deep stuff. So, You know,
Yeah,
that's
there are some things in this life that can't be explained, and we're not supposed to understand them. But when you look at what happens in the world, both good and both bad, you'd be crazy not to believe in a higher power. And I'm not diminishing people who don't. And that was not a dig at anybody who doesn't believe in God. I completely respect their beliefs, but there are just things in the universe that go on that cannot be explained away by human means. So, yeah, I think there is absolutely something more spiritual going on. I've never heard that story about your body weighing less, but there are too many unexplained things that go on in the world. As far as our loved ones looking down on us, I believe that in some form. I mean, I pray to my deceased relatives on a fairly regular basis. So by that definition, I do believe. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I think their souls are definitely looking down on us, because that's what our reward is supposed to be as Christians, or as believers in God. Our reward is to be with God when it's over. So I think that's probably it gives us all comfort to know that we're going to see our loved ones again in some form. So yes, I think they're down. I think they're up there or down there. Hopefully not. Watching over us, and but what you pray to God on a regular basis, and you don't always get what you're asking for. You pray to your deceased parents maybe, and they don't answer, or you don't think they answer. So we have to kind of, again, frame everything in human terms. Well, they're not listening, or they're not pleased with us, or something like that. And we kind of cling to this belief that we're going to see them, because the alternative, again, is too painful. But I pray to my dead relatives all the time. And when something good happens, I tend to attribute it to that. When something doesn't happen, I tend to dismiss it as, oh well. But yeah, I think our relatives are definitely in the afterlife looking down.
I've never heard that term before, where you're praying to a, a dead relative. I've never heard that term before. Because I guess I'm wondering, why are you praying to someone that's dead, as opposed to praying to God? And I do have a question. For I was baptized Methodist, but I was raised in a Lutheran church up until I graduated from high school, and then I decided to, depart from the Lutheran religion. And the Lutheran religion was, they broke off from the Catholic religion. And there was just some things about the Lutheran religion I just didn't like. But I do have a question about with Catholics. I never understood. I know we're kind of veering off track a little bit here, but why do Catholics confess to another human being? When you go to confession, and you're confessing to a priest. A priest is human. A priest is a sinner. A priest is just your everyday average person. And I never understood with the Catholic faith why you are confessing your sins to another person, and then he is supposed to go and then pray to God. Why can't you just go and pray to God and confess your sins to God? And I'm being
I
sincere about that. I really would like to know.
I agree with you. That's why I kind of didn't further on with that religion. I actually was the only person in my family that was baptized Catholic, because my stepdad had married a Catholic woman, and she had me baptized under her religion. But as I got older, it was like I never understood the whole that either. You're supposed to be absolved of your sins, uh, and you can start over to repent. But see, I don't like that, because I think that gives people an excuse or justification to act amok and harm others. But, oh, don't worry, I'm going to go confess and I'll be absolved of all my sins. See, I'm a good person. Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's just, I don't like people who use their religion as an excuse or something that they're absolved of their sins, and thinking, well, they're still going to go into the afterlife and be welcomed by God. I
Well,
can't stand hypocrites, and that's why I'm not into organized religion. But yes, I do believe in, I believe in doing right and wrong and
do
having
you do you
having
believe in reincarnation?
well, actually with the study with energy, and since energy never dies, and I do believe in karma. I believe that we all that energy goes back, and we live several lives to till we get it right, and then throughout that period we find the same souls that were in our previous lives, like birds of a feather flock together, and it's they call it destiny. And I never believed that way until this year. I
So
do.
you okay? So when you say that that you keep coming back until you get it right, so you believe that you were around possibly in 1802 or 1910 or 1715 or
Very possible.
okay, as a human being, not as how some people think they come back as an animal or whatever. So you think that it's possible that you were around as a human, another human being.
I think they all come back as humans. I don't think you would transform back into an animal, um, because each one has a different energy structure. Um, I, I I truly believe that now, and that people, because of the situation that's going on with me, how everything kind of comes full circle. Someone has kind of re-entered my life, actually without re-entering it fully, and like it's led me to believe that, and it's the only person I ever loved in my whole life. And like we were supposed to learn our mistakes, and it wasn't the right time then, but now we're moving forward to where we possibly may grow old together. It's like it was destined to be. And then when I met these people, and a couple of them, it's like the first time upon meeting them, like I'm going to be friends with this person for the rest of my life. And then I didn't see them for like almost 30 years. And then all of a sudden, they're kind of back in my life. They found me, and I found them, and I looked for them forever, and it's happened, and it
But
just
who's to say that that person, came back as another person? Who's to say that, you just lost touch with this person for 30 years and then you guys just found each other?
mm, I don't I don't know about that. I mean, because that's happened with a lot of people, my old friends. Like, lose touch with them, you find them on Facebook,
Right.
but he was the love of my life, though. And and
But people,
I've always been looking for the one, and I've never been married. I've been asked several times, but I just couldn't do it because I wasn't with the one, and I had the one, and I moved away, and I lost him, but.
right. So this is what I'm saying. So who's to say that you just didn't lose touch with this person as opposed to they died and came back or whatever?
No, I broke up with him. I made a mistake.
Okay. Okay. So do you believe in heaven and earth? And there's a heaven, I'm sorry, heaven and hell?
Um, uh, if they do, I don't believe it's in the clouds. I believe it's probably in a different frequency, and I believe maybe the Earth is layered within frequencies. It's like almost like watching a television or a radio channel, because we're all vibrational beings, and certain even inanimate objects resonates at a certain vibrational level, and we're only able to see through our optic, through our eyes, a certain range of frequency. So it is very possible, and this is what people may explain as ghost seeing, because they never transformed and went somewhere else. Residual, like light beings, that there's actually a world on top of a world on top of a world. So if there is a heaven and hell, which there's other people, I think humans put you in hell. And but I do think you transform into something. I think there's different levels in life and afterlife as well.
That's it. That's interesting, Crucible Man. I know you have something that you want to say.
Well, I just wanted to go back to your original question a couple minutes ago about priests and the Catholic um, ritual of confession. And even though I grew up a Catholic, I became disaffected by it as I got older, and I started to challenge some of the rituals and the norms. And I think GP made an interesting comment that I'm going to get to in a second. But I think priests in our world are vessels to God, and we have been, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but we've been conditioned to believe that they are an intermediary to God. They're a human manifestation of God, and we want to hear another. We pray to God. He doesn't answer us verbally. He may answer us in his actions, but he doesn't answer us verbally. We don't get feedback from God. We as humans, and GP Man made the comment that it's cheaper than therapy. And while that's funny, it's very true. I think we want feedback from another human being that we believe represents God. We want to hear that we're okay. We want to hear that we're forgiven. We don't know if God's forgiving us. We hope he is. We assume he is, but we don't hear it from his lips. Priests tell us directly as human beings, we're okay. I forgive you. Go off and do these things, say these prayers, do this penance, and you're good with God. That sustains us. And
Okay, but I don't know if I can go along with that, because again, I'm looking at a priest as, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm looking at a priest as another human being. So what's the difference between a priest telling you that you're forgiven and your mom telling you that they forgive you? I mean, and especially when you see everything that priests are being accused of, that they've admitted to, that they have done, that they've probably been doing for centuries. So you have this sinner who is forgiving another sinner and telling you that everything is going to be okay, and you do hear it from God. I mean, I mean, no, is God coming down and saying, "Solid blue sister, yes," no, I don't hear it like that. But I do believe that you do, that like they say, God may not be there when you want him, but he's always there right on time. And I think that he does leave you signs that that he was there, that your prayers were answered. They may have not been answered exactly the way you wanted them to, but he did answer them. And I think that those signs are there. But I understand what you're saying about a priest. It makes you feel good. But I just look at Catholic priests now, and I don't mean to be a diss to anyone that's Catholic. I just don't get um uh confessing to someone who is a sinner. And like I said, for some of these priests, they are seriously sinners. So I'm sorry, Principal Man. Go ahead with your thought or whatever. Unless I totally got you off course.
no, that's okay. I didn't say it made sense. It's part of why I moved away from the Catholic Church. We are grasping at straws down here, and we're looking for ways to make sense of things we don't understand. And we only understand humans. We don't understand God. We think we do, but we don't understand him. There's lots of conflicting information out there about God. So the only thing we can relate to are our fellow human beings. And again, I don't think it makes sense. Priests are sinners. You can, therapists are sinners. I know that's not the same thing, but we're kind of bearing our souls to somebody, looking for validation, or looking for somebody to tell us either we're forgiven or it's going to be okay. And yes, I agree with you that God shows up in our lives and he does give us signs, but as human beings, we need that verbal feedback. It's just how we're wired. And again, I don't think it makes sense to sit in a little box with another flawed human being listening, who's also a sinner, who has to go someplace and confess his or her sins. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, any earthly sense. But I think we as human beings use that in order to make sense of things that otherwise don't make sense to us.
I don't have anything to say to that right now. Shannon, you want to pick up?
Um, no, not on that one.
I mean, life, we do go through life every day. You wake up, you go to sleep, and between the time when you wake up and the time you go to bed, everyone is doing whatever. Everyone is living a different life. But I would like to know that, because this is me. I don't pray to my dead parents, but I do have a conversation with my father, and I find myself talking to him out loud. Um, does he answer me? Um, sometimes, and I can, and when I say that, I mean that in certain things that happen either around the house or when I'm out and about, I can see my father in that. Is that wishful thinking? I don't know. But during the day, as I'm, going about my business, sometimes I'm a huge people watcher. I like to watch people, and I like to sometimes in my head, I'll say, I bet, they work here, or they do this, or they're this or this. I create these little scenarios for people, and through the course of the day, sometimes I do wonder about my mortality. I do wonder, is this the day that when I go to sleep, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow? And that's what I would like to know from you guys. Do you all ever think about your own mortality? If you're doing something throughout the day, or something happens, or you see something on the news, do you question your own mortality and how long you are going to be here on this earth? Anybody?
I never question it, but I have foreseen that I'm gonna have a very long life. I mean, only because the longevity in my family, living in way past their hundreds, 105, 102, 100, 98. And because I have the survivor gene, I do believe that everyone is born with what they call either the survivor gene or the termination gene. When something gets too hectic for the mind to handle, a human being, will commit suicide, or it's called self termination. No matter how bad life gets for me, say being tortured on a daily basis, there's no way I would ever even consider self termination. And it's not a moral thing or a religious thing either. It's just because I just don't have that within me. But I do believe that I'm going to. I'm an extremely highly intuitive person, and always have been all my life. And since this thing happened to me, and some of you know about what happened to me a little bit if you've read my podcast or listened to it. After, and I did die. I died after my open heart surgery, and they revived me. And after that happened, it's like it's gone like out of control. Like the intuitiveness and almost being an empath, to where someone can stand 30, 40 feet away from me, and I can't read their mind, but I can feel the feelings that they're feeling, like almost inside me, like hitting my brainwaves. And it's just like on high alert. So I don't know. I do think I was put on this earth to help people.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this then. When you said that, you said that when you had your open heart surgery that you did die.
Yes, I did, on the table.
Okay. So did you see that light that people talk about?
No, no, I did not. I saw
So
nothing.
so were you, so when you came back and you were conscious again, were you aware that you had died? I mean, was there anything that told you that you were gone for however long you were gone, those minutes or seconds or whatever?
Well, when I came to, I didn't think of anything, but it was after going through having other dreams of seeing myself on the table, So it was like days and weeks after seeing my set. That is what's really strange. I didn't see it then. I don't know, because anesthesia or what, but it was after, through dreams, that I saw myself on the table dying. That's strange, I know, but not during. No, I saw no light, no none of that. Nope. It was more kind of like I've also had an outer body experience one time, and when I was sleeping and I kind of floated to the top of the room, it was like an abyss, kind of like if you ever seen the movie The Abyss, it was like an ocean of plasma, and I'd floated
Right.
up to the top, and I was looking down, and I was living with my first boyfriend that I had here in New Orleans, and I went to sleep before he came home from work. He was a bartender at the House of Blues, and I was sound asleep. Didn't hear him get into bed. Didn't see what he was wearing. But in this outer body experience, I was looking down at him and myself, and I could see exactly what he was wearing, the boxer shorts that he had on, the shirt. And when I woke up, sure enough, there it was. And that's exactly what he was wearing. And they were new boxer shorts too, so it's not like I took a guess. But I've had some experiences that I just really, truly can't explain. And dreams that have come absolutely true, proven dreams. I'm highly in tune with the weather. And I predicted tornadoes that happened exactly the way they did to a bartender friend. It's usually through dreams. Kind of like Edgar Casey. My friend was named Donna. And I said, God, I had this dream about these tornadoes that hit on the West Bank, jumped over the river. There's two of them, landed in the Carrollton area, uptown, and destroyed a bunch of houses. Well, sure enough, the next day, two tornadoes hit the West Bank, jumped the river, hit exactly where I said it was going to hit, and did exactly what I said it was going to do. She looked at me all day long with her mouth open, like, oh my. She goes, I'm afraid of you. I'm like, don't be afraid of me. I don't know what it is. I can't control it. It just happens when it happens. But don't. I think I'm like some kind of, it's like a television. Sometimes I can like feel the freaking waves, hit my head like boom. It's weird. But see, I've also, this doctor hardwired my freaking head. I went to a sleep study place, and they shoved fiber optics underneath my head. They're starting to come out. And it's like these blue and red little wires. And ever since they did that, it was a thought recognition study is what it was. And but ever since then, I think I'm able to pick up waves. We all as humans, we even emit our own brain waves, but especially like with cell towers or possibly like even the weather, everything is electrical and has a wave. I pick up on it, and it's just like gone into a super high level since I died.
I'm just sitting here just absorbing everything that you're saying because I find it absolutely fascinating.
Huh.
Cruise,
Well, it's all true. I can prove it
seriously.
all.
No,
If
I'm
you,
not. No, I'm not saying that
yeah,
you aren't telling the truth or anything. I'm just literally just fascinated with what you're saying.
uh,
Crucible Man, do you want to respond to that? And I'm going to say hello to Revolutionary Bro. Um,
revolutionary.
uh, Crucible Man, do you want to say anything to what Shannon just said?
Yeah, that was some pretty deep stuff. I'm not sure I followed it all, but I believe every word of what she said. I believe that she believes it. But I believe your question at one point was, do we believe in our own mortality, and do we think about it? And for me personally, I know I'm going to die someday, obviously, and I don't get too caught up in the when, what age, and what the circumstances will be, because I find it makes me too anxious, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I try to resign myself. What I worry about most is the process that will lead up to death. Will I be in the hospital for a long time? Will I be alone? Will I be afraid? Things of that nature. But the actual act of dying and the timing of it, I don't get too caught up in it because I can't control it, and it just makes me anxious.
Well, I
Okay.
answered that in the beginning. I told her I have foreseen that I'm going to live a very, very long life. And as humans, the average lifespan is between 70 and 80. But that is one of the things that I've foreseen, that I will be living well into way over my hundreds. It's you won't believe the dreams that I have. I mean, how many come true. It's I I don't know. It's not something that I wanted or something that I asked for, but I do think that I mean, even as a child, I was I don't know if it's genetic, I don't know what it is, but I excel extremely well um in my education. I take tests, don't even have to study. Sometimes I just know things and I don't know how I know them. They just
Well,
come to
I personally would like to live past 100. If I could live to be 200, I would like to live to be that long.
me too.
Revolutionary Bro, we haven't heard from you. You've seen the topic. We're talking about heaven and hell, meeting your loved ones after death, reincarnation. You know, we're just talking about death and afterlife. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah. Let me just say,
I knew
first
that.
and foremost, how's everybody doing?
I am good.
Doing well.
This is my take on it because in 2010, I actually dropped dead. Like they had to bring me back to life. They had to put the defibrillator on me. I had a heart attack. I went into cardiac arrest. It was so bad that I was married at the time, and my wife at the time, what they had did was they had went and got you know how the hospital have the little pastor. They had went and got him, and he took her down into the little church at the hospital, and they prayed. But me really, can I tell you all a little story? Just a real little story, real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
When I left this place, I saw like absolute utter darkness. But here's the kicker: the darkness that I was in, I could actually see. I literally could see inside of the darkness. And like there was a long corridor that I was walking down, and alongside the corridors were doors that were open. And I could see what was going on inside of like every room. But I don't believe that we go to like a heaven or a hell. I believe that it's a core of energy, and we return back to that energy, and that energy can be harnessed. And I believe that they're harnessing what would be considered dead souls by way of Wi-Fi. Y'all gonna laugh at me when I say this, but do you know that any story that you ever see, if somebody died, it'll be a ghost, and people can't see them, and they'll need a body in order to be seen. Well, the Wi-Fi, in order to experience the Wi-Fi, you have to have a device like either a cell phone, excuse me, a laptop, or iPad. And without those devices, which would be bodies for the Wi-Fi, you can experience the Wi-Fi just like you can experience the dead without a body.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you. So, do you believe when they say that when a child is born, someone dies, or when someone dies, a child is born? Because that's what I'm kind of
Yes,
thinking when you just said
yes,
that.
I
because you
think
know
that's called the
why?
guff. It's called the guff.
Because that death presents a body for life. It's a trade-off. I believe that deaths and births are trade-offs, and that's why when more people are dying than being born, that's why they call that 0 point. I think there are some people that know how this thing works that we're talking about today.
Okay, so you're saying that when you had your heart attack, that you did see, you went to like a black abyss or something, that there was an abyss there, but it was black as opposed to that white
Yes,
light.
it was like dark matter. See, you know,
That's more like
dark
my
matter.
experience too. No light. It was dark.
It was dark matter.
So what do you think that dark matter was?
It's negative energy.
Okay, but why does it have to be negative?
I don't actually. I don't know, but I mean, you think of regular energizing matter, and then dark matter is supposed to be the opposite of that. Like everything in this world has an I is paired, um, from atoms to everything has a mirrored self, if you want to call it self. But I don't know. They say dark matter. They're just now beginning to research what dark matter is. I've got a very interesting picture, and it scared the crap out of me. I was taking a selfie. This was years ago in this house that I'm in now, and I had my mouth up, and it had all what looked like this black smoke. What it looked like coming out of my mouth. It scared me. I mean, because I'm not some evil person. I'm in fact the quite opposite. I'm the type of person that, oh, my neighbor's got cancer, or she just had a treatment. I'll make her some dinner because I know she doesn't want to. She won't feel like cooking for herself. I go out of my way, take the initiative, and then I get treated like shit from her. You know, that's just the way it is around here. And these people are like animals and awful. You know, but that's just me, and I'm not gonna change. You know, so, but yeah, I saw this black. It scared me. It really did. And I'm really thinking it was some kind of dark matter.
So, bro, let me ask you this. I asked Crucible Man and I asked Shannon, do you think that if you're reincarnated, you come back as a person or an animal?
I don't know.
Bro, you there, bro? Okay, I just wanted to know what
Revolution, bro.
he must have stepped away for whatever reason.
Oh no,
Okay,
Frankie
and
says you
Frankie,
guys are freaking me out.
yeah, you guys are freaking me out. So, I thank you for the super for the super chat. But yeah, the conversation is getting deep. It is getting deep. Just when you think about heaven and hell, and you think about heaven and hell, and just all these other things. Revolutionary Bro, you are back. So, did you hear my question before? If you believed in reincarnation, do you come back as a person or another animal?
Yes, and can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What it is I believe that there is a certain level intellectually that we have to reach in our lifetime in order to reincarnate as a human being. I think like if you just come into this world and you don't really pay attention to nothing, you just eat and have somewhere to live and lay in a corner or something, you might come back as like a dandelion, like something real inconsequential. But I believe that if you reach a certain level, then you will always remain a human. I think you'll never
But
go
but
to
what is that? But what is that level?
that level that you achieve. Well,
See, that's what I was talking about. Levels.
I mean, but this is what
understand
I'm saying. So what is that level? And I
That
mean,
level, and I mean,
that
will
level
I?
is
will I?
like a like like pretty much like you become a standard, like not, let's say Christ, but something like a Christ, like somebody that really achieved, somebody that really helped, somebody that really made a difference in life.
Lessons, lessons learned.
Lessons learned. I think you become a human being, but if you just be content to just exist within the framework of the situation you're given, I think you can come back as less than you were in the previous lifetime.
Okay, so
If
you're
you live
saying
your
that the
life
only
wrong.
okay,
Okay,
somebody,
somebody, do you
do
guys?
they have their someone's not muting their phone or something. Someone's
It's not me.
okay. Yeah. If you just turn the mute, well, okay. I mean, when you say levels, because Shannon, you said levels, and I wanted to respond to that, but we've been talking about so much. So, are you saying that the person who, when they're on earth right now, that they're the ones who are giving to charity, they're the ones who are helping the homeless, that their level is going to be worth more than the person who just goes to work every day, takes care of their family, keeps their head down, just does the right thing? Or the
Uh,
person who murdered someone, their level is going to stay at level 1 as opposed to a level 20.
Well,
uh,
I
let
do
me,
believe it's different for each and every individual, but like saying even given to charity, that doesn't automatically mean you're a good person because a lot of people give to charity just for a freaking tax write off. So, I
exactly.
mean, that's kind of a backwards handed, oh, I'm
No, true.
helping people, so it all matters what your life, the lessons that you've learned and overcome to evolve into a higher being, almost becoming
Any-
godlike with
Is
But
anybody
almost with
okay, but I mean, we will never attain that. And what is God like? I mean, we as humans will never get there. I mean, because we just won't, because we're
can I say
sinners.
this? Is anybody aware of what's called the chakra system?
The
yes,
what? The
The
what?
shock.
chakra.
Nope,
Is anybody aware of that?
Yes,
never
That
heard of it. Can you
deep,
guys
deep.
type that in the chat so I see how you guys are spelling that?
It's Deepak Chakra.
uh,
What is his name? What's his name? Revolutionary
hold on.
Deepak. It's Deepak something.
Oh, you're
Yes, it
talking
is.
okay. Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard him. I've heard some of his speeches, and I think I've read one of his books. So
Well, he talks about the chakras, and the chakras are in all points of from your feet to your head.
okay,
All right, there's 7 spinning wheels of light. Your base, if you go to the groin, right, that's your base level chakra. If you exist only in that base level, that means all you're worrying about is getting money and eating and just drinking and sex and things of that nature. That's your base level. If you go to the abdomen chakra, then that means that you reach the level now where things like learning and other things start taking place in your life. Now, I don't think that we ever, as human beings, because the highest chakra is the crown chakra, which is right at the base of the top of your head. I don't think most of us ever get there. I think that's a level like from a paradigm of like a Jesus sort. But I believe that we can get at least to the level of the heart chakra, where now you become like philanthropic and you start helping everybody and you look at to take care of the disadvantaged people or people that's doing less than you. But all the while, you have learned mentally what it takes to be human. And I think that's what keeps you as a human being when you become whole human. You don't become divine, like say Jesus. You don't walk on water or heal the sick or raise the dead, but you experience the fullness of humanity. And I think that's what keep you coming back as a human. Just going to work every day, that's not enough. Just paying your bills and buying your kids food, so that's not enough.
but what if that's all someone is able to do?
Then they
If
come
that's
back and they get it right.
then you
Okay,
know
when you
what
say okay, but you say they come back until that they get it right. I mean, I mean, if you have someone like I said, that they do go to work every day, they're living a good life, they're living an honest life. They may not have a lot of money, but they're doing the right things. They're doing the right things for their families, or even if they don't have families, and they are single, but they're living a good life. So are you saying that because they don't have the money of, say, like a Michael Jordan, where they can go and,
No, no,
and give all this money and do this and do all this for other people? I mean, again, if I'm doing the right things and, this is all I'm able to do,
uh-huh.
why can't I get to that next level as opposed to you? I mean, what makes me not be able to get there?
Because you know what it is when we are put here, right? We're not put here to just do what people say. That's not why we're here. Some of us are sent here like prophets are, or like a Jesus that will go against what people say. And I think when we live within that box, within that construct of just going to work, trying to be law abiding citizens and things of that nature, we're just going off of what people tell us to do as opposed to doing what we know should be done. I think sometimes you got to go above and beyond the call of the duty of where you are in life. And I think a lot of us just get complacent to just do what they say do. We just live by what they say. And if you're a Christian, that's kind of wrong because you're not living by what God say or what or what the author of your book says. You're going by what man say. And if
Well,
man
okay, but
just
God also says live a righteous life.
yeah,
So
in
if
a
we're
righteous in a
so if you're
righteous
living a
life,
righteous life, then a righteous life could be, again, you're just taking care of your business, and
Well, just going through the motions
you
is not enough. I
you
guess
just
it's actually
yes,
self awareness and being aware of others around you. It's almost like a sixth sense.
it's like you're stuck in drone mode. You just don't. I think there's two types of people. There are people who are hardwired like animals, and they just go within the framework of their hardwiring. And then there are people who can separate themselves by stepping outside of the box and doing things that create a whole new paradigm to most because most stay in the box. Do you know they say that some people have a crab in a barrel mentality, right? But do you know some crabs in the barrel never even attempt to get out? They don't even have to pull people down. They don't even make an attempt to get out the barrel.
so
And I
let me
think that
bro, let me ask you this: do you believe in God? Do you believe that there is someone who is like a God, or that higher person who's in heaven or whatever? I mean, do you believe that?
I, I believe that there is a divine, and we see the divine all the time. I just think that the framework that we get it in, the way they package up. See, the study of God is called theology, right? But if we have a God that's all knowing, all encompassing, all whatever, you can't study. He is too big to study. You can't put him inside of biology. He's too big to fit in there. So when we do the theological works that's been presented to us, I don't think that we're doing enough. And since the devil know the Bible, just like the writers of it, he know the Quran, he know all of the textbooks, he know all of the biblical texts. So I believe that he set in motion a plan to use that framework to even stunt people's growth, and they don't even know when their growth is being stunted.
Do you believe in the afterlife?
Not in a sense like we just want to all go and we'll be living somewhere and be happy all day or going somewhere and being tormented all day. No, I think it's bigger than that. I just think those are scare tactics to keep mass mind control, under work. But I do believe that there is a core that most of the people are going to go back to keep this thing generating. Like the Bible said, there's nothing new under the sun. Well, if there's nothing new under the sun, no individuals are new. It's almost like these are you souls and bodies. If you go back in time, you will always find people that look similar to people in the period that you're living in today, which means that even these bodies may be repackaged. Like
A
once
lot of
they put them
celebrities too. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They've proven like a lot of celebrities, um, like Jennifer Lawrence, Keanu
Jay
Reeves.
Z, I saw it. Yes, Jay Z.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
all had lookalikes from like the 17, 15, and 1400s. Like I believe that everything is repackaged. There's nothing new under the sun.
There's only so much genetic material, so.
So, I mean, I'm just sitting here just fascinated with what Shannon and Revolutionary Bro are saying. I literally am. I'm fascinated, and I'm listening. And while you all are talking, I'm over here and I'm pulling up stuff on on my um, uh, laptop, whatever. I'm I am literally just fascinated. Crucible Man, do you want to respond to anything that both Bro and Shannon have said? And Jimmy, I'm going to invite you in. Crucible Man, do you want to say anything? Do you want to respond to any of that?
I would love to say something, but I think I'd have a better chance of learning German in the next 10 minutes. So I have nothing to contribute. It's a fascinating conversation. I'm not familiar with a lot of the concepts. I believe that Shannon and Bro believe what they're saying, but this is all new to me. So I'm going to have to sit this one out.
Okay, Jimmy, welcome, my friend. This is your first time on my show, I do believe.
Hmm.
What
So
would you
y'all
like
were
to
talking
add?
about the y'all were talking about the afterlife, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the afterlife, heaven and hell, reincarnation. Do you
Oh,
think you're going to meet
I
your loved
I
ones
def
after death?
I definitely believe in an afterlife, and I definitely believe there's a heaven and a hell, and I say that simply because I mean the proof is in the pudding. Let's put it this way, in this world, people have encountered evil spirits or demons, whatever you want to call them. It's the same thing. I assure you, if there's evil spirits that walk this world, I guarantee you there's angels. And if there's evil spirits and angels, there's a devil and there's a God. Simple as that. That's proof right there that there is some kind of afterlife, and there is, an almighty, and there is a darkness in this world, or the afterlife. And to add on to that, to add more onto this, I do believe it. I truly do. Uh, I mean, I have heard people's testimonies about how even with my personal experience. But first, I'm gonna go over the other testimonies. Uh, I had a friend who had a really close brush with death himself, and the way he explained it, he said that he felt that he was. It was like he was floating. He wasn't walking anymore. He was floating, and there's this bright white light. And he described this white light as a white light that he has never seen before. He's never seen this shade of white before. And it was just so soothing and calming and relaxing. Um, and he didn't feel scared or anything. He just kept going to the light. But then he said he heard a voice say that it wasn't his time to come, and then he just woke up in the hospital and he was alive. And then with me, uh, I I had my near death experience. I went into surgery, and I needed to get my appendix removed. I didn't know I was allergic to the anesthetics that they gave me, and I went into respiratory distress, and then my oxygen level started depleting quickly, and then all I remember is passing out, and I just remember feeling in a safe place, and uh, everything was peaceful. And then again, I heard, I heard like a voice telling me it wasn't my time yet, that I wasn't done here on earth, that there's something I still needed to do. And then I just woke up, and apparently I was awake, according to my parents, I was awake for a while, but they asked me like, what do I remember and stuff. I was like, I just remember waking up in some weird room, and then I passed back out, and then I woke up in here. I don't remember anything in between, and they were explaining to me what happened. But I mean, just that experience I had, that feeling of peace and love and joy, and is just, I do believe there's an afterlife, and I do believe I'll see family members again, and relatives, and friends that have gone before me, and uh, I had an aunt. She I don't know if you how you would take this, but I took this as a message from the other side, a message from God. My aunt told me that she had a dream, and she saw because my dad passed away about a year ago, um, and she said that the day after his funeral, that she had a dream that she saw my dad standing in front of the gates of heaven, and he was walking through, and as he was walking through, she said that she can see a line of all our family members and friends standing in line or ready to hug my dad and greet him and welcome him to heaven. And the first person that was in line was Jesus. And it was so beautiful and so just comforting to me when she told me that, because I was always thank you guys. I was so you know so very emotionally upset, and upset that the way my dad died. I mean, I still think, my dad shouldn't have died that way. He had a really bad, he had glioblastomas, stage 4 brain cancer. It was the same brain cancer that John McCain died of. And I don't wish that upon anybody, and not even my worst enemies, because the way that cancer took my dad went from a strong, athletic, outgoing man, and he was depleted down to like a baby. And I was not used to seeing my dad like that, and having to take care of the man and teach the man who taught me so much, the things that he taught me, and how to reteach him, that just it broke me. It was something that um I didn't think I was going to have to go through. But in a way, this might sound weird to some people, but I thank God that I was there for my dad. It has made me a better person, a better, stronger person, and I wouldn't have changed anything. I practically gave up my whole life for my dad for 2 years and half a month to take care of him, and it was a journey, that those 2 years and half a month, and like I said, I don't wish that upon anybody. I mean, it was the hardest thing I had to do in my life, and having to give up work, school, my relationships, just to help my mom take care of my dad. And even my dad told me, he's like, he told me when the doctor told him that he was going to die, he told me, son, I don't want you to worry, we will be together again, just keep your faith, and I promise you, we'll be together again. And on my dad's funeral, when we said our last goodbyes, and we had put his coffin uh, uh, in the ground and stuff, we were leaving, and a wind blew, and the rose petals that we put on his casket, one of the rose petals blew off and landed right on the gear shift of my uncle's car. And at that moment, I knew that was a sign from my dad telling his older brother that he's okay, that he's fine. And then a white dove out of nowhere landed right in front of my little nephew and my brother. And we saw that. We thought it was, hey, that's strange and beautiful. And then I thought about it, that's a sign, another sign from my dad, that the good Lord let him give to us, that that he's okay, that he's there waiting. And I thoroughly believe in the afterlife, with those signs.
You
And I
know,
can't wait. I can't wait to the day that the good Lord, either the good Lord comes and takes us to heaven, or the day that, hopefully it's not too soon, but the day that I go and to my final resting place, and I can be with
Solid
my loved
blue.
ones.
that is Jimmy, that is total faith. And I had, before you came on, I had said that, God may not always be there when you want him, but he's always there right on time. And that's what I mean,
Amen.
there are signs. He does give you signs. But bro, before I come to you, I want to ask Jimmy, and I'm putting this out to everyone, and this may seem really, really silly to you guys, but I watch Touched by an Angel. I love that show. And
Great show.
when I was watching the show at the time, before the show came on, I was working for a talent agent. And the script came out for Touched by Angel, and we were reading it, and we were reading the pilot, and everybody was laughing like, "Yeah, this show's not going to make it, whatever." And when Della Reese was offered the part, they told her that this show probably will not last past pilot season, and so if you just want to make some quick money, you can sign on for some quick money. And she said, no, she says, this show is going to run at least 8 to 10 years. I read the pilot. God told me to do this show because it's going to run for at least 8 to 10 years. This is a good show, and it's going to touch a lot of people, which it did. So my question to all of you is, do you believe, when you watch that show, if you're familiar with the show, that there are angels walking among us, like in human form, that, do help us, do guide us? Do you think that that's possible?
I believe that people are used in angelic fashion. Let's just say, Solid Blue Sister, I knew you personally, right? Let's just say we knew each other personally. And your lights were about to get cut off. And you might pray to the God of your understanding, and you'd be like, well, I need this money, blah, 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 yada, 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 da, da, da. And the next thing you know, I'm knocking at your door, right? And you answer it. And I'll be like, yo, I just won the lottery. God had put something on my heart to, come over here and just throw this out to you. That might just be just what it takes to get your lights back on. That was God's way of using me in an angelic fashion, because the money is not just going to fall from heaven on your lap. So people are used in the stead of an angel to do angelic works. I believe that. But let me say this really quick. We're all spermicides. Speaking scientifically, we beat out tens of thousands of sperm cells to make it to the eggs for us to be here. So that puts a premium on our lives. Our lives are purpose driven. We are on assignments. And most of us never understand what our assignment is. And I think those who complete their assignments, they move on from a higher plane in the afterlife. They might come back as a professor at Harvard or Yale, or a pope, depending on what their assignment was and how well they achieved it. We all have assignments, Solid Blue Sister. This show you're having today might be a part of your assignment.
Exactly. Maybe you're what they call an earth angel, which is what I've been called as well. Earth angels are spiritual beings born into a physical form. They've had many lifetimes and have been chosen to be born into the physical world in our time. They're evolved spiritual beings. These angels they're like seventh and ninth dimensional angels incarnated into a physical form. And in order to be born as a physical human being, they have lowered their vibrational level.
Well, I think everyone is put here for a reason, no matter what that person has done or is doing, whatever.
I disagree with that.
I don't know because I look back at the at last summer and all the protests and everything that was going on, and I look back at was okay. I'll take George Floyd. Was George Floyd right there at that moment, and what happened to him? Was it God saying that this is what you were put on this earth for? This is what your ultimate reason for being on this earth. Yes, you have to die, but maybe he had to die to make people see certain things. Maybe people who are celebrities or basketball players, football players, whatever. Maybe these people are put here and things happen to them, for a reason, to get people to see the bigger picture. So I do believe that we are all put here for a reason. I mean, even it's just like, if you believe in God, whatever, Mary was put here on this earth to give birth to Jesus.
Right.
So it's like, I do believe everyone serves a purpose, no matter how little or how big it is. Everyone serves a purpose. We may not see it, but I think God knows.
Well, I
let
do
me
believe there's certain like you have your creators in this world who create the ideas or spread the harmony, and then you have the people who build, like the followers who build those ideas and make whatever situation is into fruition. And that alone could just be their purpose, but there are certain beings that are here to help in the anchoring of the timeline of light, love, peace, to bring Earth and humanity into a golden age of co-creation. That's what, they consider it to be, pure energy of light and love, to where you are the highest being you could possibly be.
do you know, like, guys, listen. It used to be a time when people around me, when they died, the ones that I love, I used to, almost break down. And I said to myself, I said, well, the Bible said that we're supposed to rejoice at, at deaths and cry at births. And that for a long time, I
That's
couldn't
right.
grasp that concept. So when my mother died, do you know how I dealt with that in every death in my life after that? I had to get to the conclusion that they didn't leave me like most of us believe, like everybody that I love leave.
Mm.
No, they don't leave. Their assignment is done. They've
Amen. That's
done,
right.
they finished their assignment. So now, like my sister, she just died of COVID complications in 2020.
I'm sorry to hear
And I
that.
grew up next to her. You know what I'm saying? We grew up in the same household. And I dealt with, I said, her assignment is done. She came here.
Mm.
She did things on earth. She planted seeds on earth. Her children, her assignment is finished. And until we start looking at life like that, we'll always be hurt. And we won't have no reason to be hurt, because if we believe in a God that he calls life into existence and take life out of existence, we disrespect him when we cry for the ones that ain't here no more, because we don't respect the fact that the assignment that he gave them, the mission is complete.
So I was always told we should rejoice for those who leave this world and weep for those who enter.
I'm sorry. Rejoice for
Exactly.
those who. I'm
That
sorry,
we
Jimmy.
should.
Can you say that again?
I said I was always told that we should rejoice for those who leave this world, but weep for those who enter this world.
That's deep. I have never heard that before, but that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Being born into tribulation.
Right.
Yeah.
They got to go through it. They got the
Look what's
ones.
happening now with the babies that are being born in the last 2 years. They're being born into a world that's plagued with the pandemic, and they're struggling to understand human emotion based on facial expressions because they can't see nobody's faces because of the mask.
You all are just getting deep. Just like Frankie said earlier, you guys are just have I'm just fascinated with everything that everyone said. And Jimmy, with you, the story that you told, thank you very much, because I know that was very deep and it was very personal. And
Oh, you're welcome.
you
For a
know,
moment, I thought I was gonna cry. I told myself I wanted to be strong when talking about that, and I made it through. I made it through without crying. I'm proud of
well,
myself.
well, well. Thank you, and thank you for coming on the show. You guys, this has been, I mean,
A
every time I
wonderful
do
show.
a show, it's like you guys, I always say I'm going to do an hour show, and then you all say
Thank you,
stuff
Juju.
and it just goes on and on and on. And you guys always make my show really good. And I thank you guys for that, because everybody has something to say. Everybody, no matter what your experience is, how you were brought up, where in the country or world you live, everybody has something to say. So, and I respect what all of you all are saying. So thank you very, very much. And Bro and Shannon, you guys just took it to a whole level that I didn't even, some of the stuff that you all were saying, I was literally writing down, and I'm like typing, I have an external monitor here, and I'm like typing in, whatever, just looking this stuff up because I want to read about it later. But
Yeah.
but for me personally, I do believe in God. Like I said, I do believe in Father, Son, Holy Ghost. I do believe that I will see,
Same.
my loved ones. When I die, I hope I don't die anytime soon. Um, but I do believe if there's an afterlife. I don't know if I say we would come back and be reincarnated. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I definitely believe that I will see my loved ones when it's my turn to go. But does anyone else have anything to say before we end it? I'm going to start with Jimmy. Jimmy, do you want to add anything?
I I just want to say, just remember everybody, to make this world a better place and make the world go round for everybody. Just remember, show love, even to your enemies. Show love because that was he who shows love even to his enemies has a peaceful, loving heart and will never have fear in this world. And fear comes in many forms, like the good Lord said.
Jimmy, I take that to heart. But we did a show a couple of weeks ago about grudges. And
Hmm.
I'm just being totally honest, being totally human. I am someone that holds grudges, and it's really hard for me sometimes, depending upon
Yeah.
what I perceive the offense to be. And I can hold on to a grudge so tight that you're literally prying my hands open. So that is that what you said. I think that you're absolutely right. But for me, and for some things, it is
I feel
hard.
you. I used to be like that. I really did used to be like
Some
that.
people, some
I
people
will hold
need to
on
be
to it,
punished.
but
Okay,
I
Shannon said some people need to be punished.
They
but
do.
I learned through through having faith and taking a good look at myself. Uh, as like Jesus said, he who is without sin may cast the first stone, and surely I could tell you, I can't pick it up, much less look at it.
And if you are a Christian, you've read your Bible. God was very wrathful, very.
Hmm.
So we're angels.
He was wrathful in the in the first in the
Genesis.
testament, but in the second testament, that's why he sent his son down, to
Right.
forgive all of that.
Right.
So, but okay, Crystal man, you have been silent. I'm going to come to you. Do you have any last words that you want to add?
It's been a fascinating conversation. I knew it would be. I got out of my depth a little bit quick when Bro and Shannon got on, but we all have different thoughts about why we're here, and we all have different thoughts about what happens when we're not here. But I think as long as you believe in your beliefs, in your process, that's all that matters. I support and I respect everything everybody believes, even if I don't quite understand it, and even if I may not disagree. What matters is whatever it takes to get us through this life, whatever it takes to give our life purpose and meaning, with a thought toward the afterlife, then that's okay. As long as it's not immoral, then I support whatever process anybody wants to follow, whatever they want to believe, in terms of taking comfort in God and taking comfort in the next life.
Okay,
I respect your open
Shannon.
mindedness.
Shannon, what?
To me, it may sound a little cliche, but do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Could you imagine what a world this would be like if we all just helped one another and were more understanding of each other? And just like jumping on that bandwagon, how a mob mentality of vindictiveness and hate is infectious, so is being kind. So people just need to stop being afraid and thinking, oh, well, I may seem weak if I'm open myself up like that, but you're really not. It is harder to be kind than it is to be cruel.
Okay, and revolutionary bro, what do you want to say?
Let me just say, Crucible Man hit it right on the head when he said, as long as you ain't just going around ravishing people and doing all kinds of craziness, wherever it takes to get you through. But I also got to add this: everybody get all of the knowledge that you can get, soak it up wherever you can find it, because that's going to be your wows to stand against the devil if he ever's in front of you. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Well, you guys, again, my show doesn't work without you guys, and I appreciate everyone who comes on to talk. I appreciate the people who are listening. I understand that everyone, is not able to talk or they don't want to, but I appreciate the fact that you're even here and you're listening. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about, are people addicted to religion? We've talked about religion several times on this show. So, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And Jimmy, again, I know I've been on the show with you on Doomsday and what have you, and I appreciate the fact that you decided
Yeah.
to stop in and listen. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I wanted to check it out. Yeah. I gotta admit, there's some stuff on Doomsday that I disagree with, but I mean, overall, he has a great show, and uh, I don't
Well,
know,
I don't
just
think you're going to agree with everyone's show, because I know there have been times on here where I'm like, I totally just disagree with you.
yeah,
So,
true.
I've been
you
there.
know. And then Crucible Man knows that there are times where I'm like, okay, nope, I don't agree with you at all. So, yeah,
Hmm.
but everyone, thank you so much. And on that note, I'm, speak your truth. I'm Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. And Matthias, thank you for coming in. I'm sorry you came in late, but thank you. Thank you for showing up. And Tulian, thank you. Juju, as always, my friend, are you enjoying your pool time? Revolutionary Bro, and Shannon and Frankie. Frankie, I saw your comment. Is she still on? I'm going to try to do a show Friday night. I've never done a night show before, and I really don't have a topic. I'm just gonna come on and I don't know what audience I'll get, because I know the nighttime audience is a little different from the daytime audience. But if I do a night show, it'll probably be around 8 o'clock Pacific time. So I know that's late. So that's what, 10 Central and 11 o'clock Eastern. But it'll probably, since I'm on the West Coast, it'll probably be 8 o'clock Pacific time. But that's what I'm thinking about doing. So if you're around, 'cause I know you want to say a couple of things and you're not able to because you're at work. So, but I appreciate you listening while you're at work. So, and Rev, Bro, and Shannon, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know it'd be great.
And thank you, Shannon, for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm a fan now.
Thank you. And Bro, as always, even though we were showing up kind of late before, Bro, thank you for coming on. A Crucible Man, as always. Thank you. Thank you. Juju, all of you guys, seriously, thank you so much. And that's it. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.